Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, citizens of crypto land, welcome back to another AMA with myself, TheGobOne, aka Ryan. Today, with me, I have Luke Shipley from R Block. Thank you for coming aboard, Luke.
Hey Ryan, no problem. Good to be chatting with you.
Alright, so always at the start of my AMAs, I have my beautiful disclaimer I must read. And I'm going to do that for you guys now. I just want to make sure that we are okay. Make sure that my mods say that my sound is okay. Because apparently I have sound issues sometimes. You'd think I would figure this thing out and keep the settings, but I'm always tinkering. Alright, I don't see anybody screaming at me, so I'm going to read my lovely disclaimer. Here it is, guys. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor or licensed professional advisor. I've not received any compensation of any form for this interview. Any comment or statement on the value of the company's token or its token sale is solely thoughts and speculation of myself. If you have a question to ask Luke in the live chat, please start with right here, question capitalized, so that our mods can pick it out. And questions about exchanges will be ignored. All right. With that being said, let's dig right into it. Luke, why don't you go ahead and maybe start a little bit about yourself. I know we're kind of skipping ahead, but maybe give us the, I'm sorry. Let's start with this. What is R Block? Give us the elevator pitch so that we can start off on the right foot here.
Yeah, sure. So RBlock is a semi-anonymous, decentralized hiring network powered by a blockchain-based referencing DApp. That's the
yeah. No, that's what an elevator pitch should be. Sometimes the elevator pitches are extremely long, like we're going up the some giant skyscraper. So I like it. Okay, so what was the actual main catalyst that caused you to want to create R Block?
the main driver for it was a career spent working quite closely to these problems that we talk about. That leads quite nicely onto my background. I spent most of my career working in recruitment, 7 years, and this is where I got an appreciation for the problems that we're trying to tackle. So yeah, that was the main driver.
Okay, so what kind of issues did you see that you thought that a decentralized solution might actually be better than what's out there currently?
Predominantly those of data abuse and trying to create something which allow people to protect their data. RBlock actually originally started out or was imagined as a piece of privacy software which would purely help people protect their data when going about different parts of the recruitment process and the hiring. And then it further kind of expanded out more broadly into a hiring network later on in the journey.
Okay, you said you had a background in this area though, right? You had a background in like hiring and recruiting, that type of thing?
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I spent the bulk of my career in recruitment, helping companies in London and Silicon Valley hire tech professionals. Did that for 7 years, working for agencies in London, startups, large agencies, and then founded my own web agency, doing some development work and hiring also.
So, okay, so I just want to be, sorry, I know we're going off topic already, but not off topic, but when you say that data abuse is one of the biggest issues, like what do you specifically mean by data abuse?
In the there's many problems of data abuse in hiring, but in respect to RBlock, it was predominantly around workers sharing contact details with third parties, whether that be agencies or companies, and those being misused in the form of selling them on to other third parties, or generally misusing the rights to contact those people.
Oh wow, so data would actually be sold off of these websites. Wow, okay, I did not know that. Okay, let's go to maybe you can give us. I think this one might be a little bit easy, but an example of a non-crypto comparable, and then if there is sort of a crypto comparable, maybe share that with us as well.
Yeah, sure. So, a few people have compared us to a LinkedIn and called us a decentralized LinkedIn. That didn't actually come from our block, but it's a fair comparison. We do have some similarities with LinkedIn, but some clear differences as well. We're a semi-anonymous solution, and we're collecting kind of semi-private data, which would really be suitable for LinkedIn, which is more of a social job network. In terms of a decentralized competitor, we think one of the closest ones is Endorse, guys based over in Singapore who are creating a skills verification platform, essentially, which has some similarities to our block too.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, now I guess this is my question. When you say semi-anonymous, so what portions are the anonymous side and what portions aren't? Like from what I've taken a look at and understand, like, well, maybe I'll let you answer that. I don't want to get it wrong. So, what sides are anonymous and what sides aren't?
So this is quite hard to get across. So it's a good thing we brought it up. We're allowing people to be anonymous in the network and just have a redundant profile, essentially, that if they don't want to be contacted or if they're not looking for work, cannot be searchable to anyone else other than the worker. And they'll have the right to make that visible or not. So they may never want to share that information with anyone, or they may choose to be visible all the time. When I say visible, I mean you'll show up in the network as an Ethereum address and your proven skills. So the top skills which you've been rated on by your referees, previous people that you've worked with. We're just hiding that information as long as it takes for the worker and the company to connect. So we can't control what information is shared after a work and company connect, but we're trying to take that information away as long as possible until that connection happens, so that we can help tackle the prejudice problem, which is a really worthwhile problem to be trying to solve. It's a very well known, very well documented issue. So essentially, a company could search across the network via these proven skills which you're showing, and then choose to interact with a worker, and then that worker may respond and share their full profile and their contact details, etc. After that point, we can't control what is shared. That's the anonymous part. After that point, it's likely to be fully open, like it would be on.
No, that's perfect. I think, I want to, that's the important part to get across here is I actually really like this. The fact that you said you can hide your profile, when you're not looking for work. So essentially, I'm just walking through like what a user or a company might see on a platform, right? Say I'm a company and I'm looking for somebody with a certain skill, right? We'll say like Node.js or something. So you would search in anybody on our block who is showing that they have the available skills. It would sort of give you a list of people, and then you can drill down, but you don't see their names, right? That's where the semi-anonymous part comes in? Like you don't see like for instance, LinkedIn, you see a picture and a name, etc., right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And not only is the name and the picture hidden, it's the work history is actually hidden as well. The searching functionality is just built around searching via skills. So you would just see these skills and the ratings that person had on those skills, and then that's what the decision is based off when you choose to send that person
based on their work, right? There's, like you said, prejudice is big, right? And anybody who sees a LinkedIn profile right away, people like to say there isn't, but everybody has a little bit of prejudice in them. So I like this so far. Okay, so this is also set like a sort of an identity based solution too, right? So there's some of the big players out there like Civic, some of the newer players that are having ICOs, Pure Mountain, Spring Roll, etc. Is there anything that separates you from those guys, or maybe you're not really in that sector completely? But I'll ask the question anyway.
Yeah. I mean, we do absolutely see ourselves as an identity proof. The way we see ourselves fitting in with companies like Civic and Newport, both not me, is the RBlock profile could be held in your digital identity wallet, your Civic wallet, or your Newport wallet. And we're actually going to be using these third-party identity proofs to prove to people as they come into our network. And then we may be able to serve data back through these wallets as a kind of work credibility proof, or skills of your proof your skills, prove your work experience. It's quite an important part of the project for us, because we think that's going to be quite a big thing. We think that work identity is one of the interesting early use cases for decentralized identity, being kind of semi-anonymous information, semi-sensitive information, more everyday useful information than your proof of identity is in your passport or birth certificate. It could be used when interacting with all sorts of different companies or users to prove your general credibility as a person and as a worker.
Perfect. Okay, that's awesome. All right, let's move into the team members and some of the key team members and advisors. If you don't want to sort of touch on them and their maybe work history and how that sort of helps you guys move RBlock forward.
Yeah, sure. So there's three co-founders to the project, myself as one of them, and Peter, who's the technical co-founder, who's an awesome guy that has been in software for kind of 20 years, had successful exits, and worked on blockchain projects before. Charlotte's the third co-founder, who's got a background in marketing, working at a fintech startup, marketing there. And we have three people in the dev team at the moment. Ahmed, who's the lead web dev, awesome guy, ex-Google, BBC Sky, and another chap called Ali, who's a young, talented dev who's got a bit of blockchain experience as well. There's four people in the growth function at the moment, and we are advised by four others also: Fabian Vogelsteller, Keith Tier, Tony Cassidy-Lane, and Naeem Aslam, and also Alexandra Kelly. Sorry, five advising us.
Yeah, it was. I'm not. Maybe you're not sure, but this is the first time I've ever seen Fabian from like the Ethereum project advise anybody. Do you know? Maybe I don't. Maybe you don't know the answer, but this is. Do you know if he's advised any other projects?
Yeah, he has. He has advised. He has advised one of the projects called Noi Fund, which are securitized. Essentially a security platform based in Berlin. So I believe we're the second that he's been involved in.
Awesome. Okay, I think we touched on a lot of the. Yeah, I think we covered kind of everybody. That's awesome. So it's safe to say the whole team's on the website, right?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
I like to see that, honestly. I don't like when some of the team is hidden in the background, so that's awesome. All right, let's go into the deeper dive section. I think I've already probably went on tangents about some of this stuff, so we'll skip over what we've talked about. We talked about data abuse and prejudice. I guess centralization the fact that data is centralized and insecure, that's one of the topics here. And it leads into one of the questions I'm seeing in the chat here, and that is, why do you think something like this needs blockchain? Because I think that's the biggest hurdle for people to get over, is they're saying, well, there's already LinkedIn and whatever, there's a million centralized reasons, but why do you think blockchain is the next iteration that is going to be superior to what's out there already?
Yeah. It's a good question. Particularly the way that we're collecting data through referencing is quite a fitting use case for blockchain. So references, workers have a right to own references, but at the moment there's no kind of suitable platform for them to be stored on. They're kind of semi-sensitive information. They're probably not appropriate for kind of public social platforms like LinkedIn. But there's no kind of there's no central store for these for references to go. So blockchain provides a good solution for that, in that nobody owns it. The worker can be the person in complete control of their data and what happens to it, and that's why it's quite fitting. It also gives us the immutability. You can prove.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, the immutability part of it. So I just want to, sorry to cut you off, but so when you say the worker owns the references, to me, so right now, say I have a LinkedIn profile and I say I worked at Google, right? And I don't 100% know this for sure, but I think that they could dispute that or have it removed from my profile per se. But in this case with our block, like once, say, Google has sort of stamped me as a reference, that's something that the user can control and not the company itself. Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually pretty big.
It's your identity claim, and to kind of comply with identity standards, you should have control over what happens to that. That's why kind of referencing companies can't store big data sets of references, because it's not their information. It's only really suitable for the worker to have ownership over that information, and it's not really feasible on centralized platforms.
Wow. Okay. This is awesome. So I guess we're kind of leading into the next part anyway, and how the platform works. But just to kind of further go on that, so say I'm Google and I've kind of stamped your RBlock profile that you've worked with us before and it's a legit reference. Can I ever take that away in some form? Is there anything in place that Google can go, now we're going to take that back from you?
No. The worker
Awesome.
owns that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome. Wow. Okay. Because right now, with any centralized system, I'm sure there's a way where Google could go and say, yeah, this guy never worked for us, nothing to do with us, right? And that's not fair to a worker in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion. So
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's really about the ownership of the claim, and the person who the claim is being made about should have control over that claim. So yeah, you may have a good reference from a manager who you have a fallout with later down the line, or they decide they don't want to vouch for you anymore. That shouldn't be in control of a third party or someone else. It should be who that information is about that has control.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you 100%. That should be in control of the actual worker themselves. Wow. Okay, that's awesome. I guess one of the biggest issues that I hear also a lot of people saying is adoption, right? Like how, and because you've already been compared to as a decentralized LinkedIn, how are you going to get people to use RBlock? What are your plans to get adoption going full scale?
Yeah, sure. So whilst the LinkedIn comparison is quite useful to help people picture what this network may look like, which we haven't fleshed out yet, we do, as I mentioned, have some quite clear differences. So So we're trying to create this ecosystem whereby those centralized platform fees are rerouted back to the end parties, the workers, usually in most cases, who are sharing their data and their time. And that's what these centralized platforms are profiting from. So we're trying to create an ecosystem which is more attractive for workers to hold, store, and interact with companies in. We don't kind of pretend to want to be able to compete on scale or anything like that with large centralized platforms to begin with. We're trying to create an ecosystem which is more attractive for workers predominantly to be interacting in, and providing useful tooling like our referencing DApp, which will hopefully bring lots of people into the network with arguably the issues that we're talking about are worst, particularly in terms of data abuse for the kind of top tier candidates. People who are most sought after often find themselves subject to the worst forms of abuse, as lots of people are competing for their attention. So we think that these people who have seen the worst of these problems are most likely to adopt the solution, or have the biggest need to find a solution to begin with, which is kind of what attracts the majority of the companies to come to these new platforms. We've seen the rise of a platform called Hired, which essentially empowers workers to have a bit more of a level playing field when interacting with companies. They essentially just get companies to pitch them, and they just offer them interviews straight off, rather than workers applying to the companies. And that's been a massive success, that platform. We see that as kind of getting closer to readdressing the balance between getting to a level playing field, and our block has kind of further one step further than platforms like Hired to create an ecosystem which is truly fair for workers and companies to interact.
Gotcha. Okay, so basically it's because it's a better solution, which is great. How do you incentivize the companies and the referrers? Like, how do you incentivize them to use this platform too? Is it the same idea as the workers? It's just the others, everything, well, not everything, but the most popular things out there are ripe with data abuse, etc., and all that stuff. So this is just a better, more secure solution, etc. Is it kind of the same for them as well?
Yeah. So if you're a recruiter, you can imagine you had a choice to search for potential workers on a centralized platform such as LinkedIn. It's got tons of people on there, but you're not 100% sure that data on that platform is correct. You may interview someone and find out they're not as good as they looked on paper.
Yeah, no doubt.
Is super common. It's the main reason for spending so much time interviewing people and spending so much money screening people. If you had the choice to interact in that network, or one which had data which you were certain was true, you could say without any doubt that their experience at those companies, or certainly the data they worked at those companies and their job titles, was proofed. I think lots of people would choose to interact in that network where they had a better degree of certainty about the information that they were dealing with.
Yeah, the immutability will be a big key in that, and that companies can never take that away from you. So okay, that's awesome.
Sorry, I just want to add something else.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah.
The provenance of the information as well. You can because we're what we're trying to do is fairly challenging, because we're trying to collect some new reliable data here. You can actually see when that data was collected, how, and you can essentially track it back to its source. You won't be able to see who it's come from, as in the name, but you'll be able to see when exactly it was provided, and by what position that person had that provided the information. So it's the provenance of the proof, which is interesting and reassuring for people to see as well.
So as a user of the platform, do I get access to control? I mean, I think I do. I know the answer to this, but I search a lot of LinkedIn pages with doing due diligence on ICOs and stuff, and sometimes there's like years gap with people, and everybody can kind of speculate why that might be. But I would assume the user of this platform could also, you might still see where there's gaps because they might choose not to show a certain, maybe they had a startup that failed or something. I find that a lot. But that's still something that you're going to run into, I imagine, right? Is because the user controls which refers they can show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. That's very much the case.
Okay. All right. Why not use a subscription-based model? And I think I forgot to ask about the cost, and I think this might play into it too. But let's start with why not use a subscription-based model?
So we do use a subscription-based model if workers want to put their profile live on the web as essentially like their own profile page or like their own website, essentially. So they can choose when to put it up or take it down. That part of the platform is based on a subscription model. The referencing and rating of workers, that is based on a per transaction fee, and the same as the searching across the network to find workers, that is also based on a per transaction fee. Could we use a subscription model for the referencing and rating that? Potentially. I think that it's potentially not as fair, as these things do kind of vary from month to month, and it's very transactional. So that doesn't strike me as an immediate fit. And the interacting with workers, as in sending messages to workers to approach them for work, that part would make sense as a subscription, because it's specifically that individual fee which the worker can earn for interacting with the company if they respond and share their profile. So that needs to be kind of directly proportionate to the amount of approaches that company's making.
Right. Yeah. When we talk subscription model, I think everybody thinks, like a monthly subscription, right? But I don't know about you, but I don't think that everybody should be looking for a job every month, right? So you're right in that it should be the transactional basis. When it happens and when it's needed, it's more suited than having a subscription to this platform when you probably won't need it, a lot of the time. So
yeah, and it's about we're trying to create a fair ecosystem. At the end of the day, that's kind of what we're trying to get across. So if we think one pricing model is potentially fairer than the other, then that's definitely a strong reason to go for it.
Okay. So how maybe, and I want to get into like the tokens use case here, but and maybe this will play into this question. But how does Rblock monetize the network as a company? Do you take like a cut out of each transaction?
We don't on the referencing and rating app, as in how people come into the network. Where we take our fee is on that subscription-based model, whereby if people want to turn their profile into a live URL, like their own web page or like their LinkedIn page, which they'll have control over, we take a fee from that cost. And the reason behind that is that we want to encourage as much network effects as possible. So for workers and companies to be interacting as much within the network as possible. So we don't take fees from any kind of transactions that are going on within the network. It's just when people want to share their data outside of the network, i.e. via posting their profile as a live URL. That's where we take our fee. That's the thinking behind it.
Okay, so let's move into like the the platform and token use case. So I use I want to use the RBlock platform and the DApp and stuff. Where does the token what role does the token play when you say that people they want to put their URL outside of the platform? Like it sounds like there might be like a staking of tokens involved or something. So I guess in a general sense, what's the token's role in the ecosystem?
First and foremost, it is the sole unit of currency for transactions. It is transactional. So if you're a company and you want to pay to screen a worker through the referencing and rating DApp, then you pay the fee in CBT. That is then held in a smart contract, and the referee, whoever it might be, the previous manager or ex-colleague, can then earn that fee by providing the data and information. So that's the first utility. The second is when you search across the network. If you want to contact a worker, then you pay a fee in CBT, again transactional. So paying workers paying to contact, companies paying to contact workers. And thirdly, the subscription model, where you turn your profile into a live URL. What I mean by that is the RBlock profile will be accessed by the worker, and they can see that via the RBlock web client, but it won't be a live page like your LinkedIn pages. It can be searchable within the network, which is at no cost, or you can choose for it not to be searchable within the network, or you can choose for it to be a public web page like your own website, essentially, because you have the power to put it up and take it down as and when you like, and that is paid for with CBT as a subscription model. CBT also entitles you to certain governance rights. So we're using a decentralized governance model for the token sale funds, and CBT holders will have voting rights in the decentralized organization, which will govern as and when funds are released to the project based on hitting milestones.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. This is like your blockchain. It's a Ethereum blockchain, right? Like it's based on proof of authority, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So this is quite a key part to understand as well if you want to do some digging into the project. We are launching our CBT token on the mainnet straight away to begin with. That's where they are at the moment, and then we are moving over to a proof of authority network. We've partnered with Oracle's POA network, where we plan to launch the first version of the platform. So we're using their consensus model and some of their infrastructure to base the platform on, essentially.
Okay, so yeah, I'm reading the white paper. Well, I'm looking at it right now just so that people can see it on the screen. But the interesting thing that I'm seeing is it says the community can select the authority nodes that can authorize transactions. That goes into how it's selected, but honestly, I don't understand it personally. So maybe can you clear that up for me? Like, how is an authority chosen on the blockchain or the network for RBlock?
Yeah. So proof of authority is it's not as widely used as proof of stake or other consensus mechanisms. You essentially, the nodes aren't available for anyone to just connect with. You have to go through you have to meet certain criteria to become a master node to approve transactions. So the authority nodes are public. They are, for instance, in Oracle's POA network, they are, yeah, some of them are members of the foundation, members of the team.
Validators, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they would have to be publicly, would they be screened by you guys to become like a validator node?
Yes, yeah, by
Okay.
by the organization. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
No, okay, no, I just wanted to. I thought that was the case, but I just wanted to be clear because I'm familiar with oracles, and it's the same idea, right? Like they're a public figure
Yeah,
who's been screened and vetted and things like that. Okay,
it's
awesome.
it's essentially based on exactly the same consensus mechanism that Oracle's POA network are using. It's also the consensus that Parity use, and that's used on a lot of the test nets as well.
Right. Okay. We might have to have a conversation after this. You might want to be a validator. Just okay. All right. So what is the current stage? I believe you guys you have a beta out right now, right? I know there's a video, or there's a few videos, I believe. But is there anywhere anyone can get their hands on this and test things out?
Not at this stage, no. It was just a private beta that we did with a few early supporters. So yeah, when we say there's a beta, it's as is shown in that video. That is literally what we've built so far. So that's the referencing and rating DApp, which is running on the test net, and that was a case of kind of a handful of transactions being tested by some of our early backers and early partners to check out the technology. Some of the functionality is still manual. We want it to be fully automated, and that's definitely going to be the case. But some of it's still manual at the moment, hence why it's not out there and publicly available to everyone, because there's a bit of manual work involved at the moment, and it's just running on the test net. It's not running on mainnet or anything yet. So yeah, that's where we are with it.
Okay. Now, like, I just want to also, I mean, it says on the site, like, our block is a protocol, like a trust protocol, and then you guys have built the DApp on top of it, right? So, like, is the protocol, can somebody else use the protocol to build their own DApp that uses the R block protocol?
Yeah. So the DApp essentially serves data to our own private IPFS network, where the bulk of the information is stored. In terms of what's on the blockchain, it's just a hash which references the reference, which is actually stored in the IPFS network. So that data could then be served and plugged into all sorts of other platforms. And as we touched on earlier, we do see people holding that information in their identity wallets and serving it in all sorts of different places. So it could be plugged in as an API or clip-on and used on other job platforms, or as an identity proof through other identity wallets. That's what we're referring to when we talk about the R block protocol. It's the base layer of information, of data that we're collecting.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that for the viewers. So, okay. Excuse me. Let's go into the partnerships. So there's a question here on our format sheet. What is RBlock's role in the Digital Identity Foundation? Microsoft, IOTA, IBM, Civic are listed as members. What's your relationship with the companies?
So we joined the Decentralized Identity Foundation last year. It's basically a group which work together on decentralized identity projects, essentially. So work towards creating standards for the industry, and collaborating on projects that have a goal to get decentralized identity out there, essentially. So we're not partnered with these companies, or they're not our customers or anything like that. We're working alongside them as part of this working group, essentially.
Yeah, it's like an alliance, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you go to the URLs identity, I think it's identity.foundation. But you can find that there's a link to it on our website, and that gives you a bit more information about exactly what the foundation does. We're hoping that as contributing to this group and working quite closely with these other companies, we'll be able to able to work even more closely with these companies in the future, but perhaps using the protocol or the platform, or becoming more formal partners in future. But at the moment, they're very much working alongside them as part of a working group.
Okay, yeah. I just have it up on the screen here. That's a lot of that's a large alliance. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really cool group, and they're doing some great stuff. So yeah, pleased to be a part of it.
Awesome. Okay. The white paper mentions that RBlock wants to become compatible with a new token standard, the ERC 725. I guess the question is the membership related to this, Fabian being that he's advising you guys on it?
Yeah, no, it's not directly related to the it's not a initiative of the foundation. That is an Ethereum standard which was proposed by Fabian originally. So of course the foundation, as in the Decentralized Identity Foundation, are aware of the standard and are going to be working towards using that on various projects, but it's not owned by the Decentralized Identity Foundation. It's an Ethereum standard, which you can find it on the Ethereum GitHub, and there's a huge thread of comments going on where we're working to try and improve that and bring it to fruition. It was only proposed last year, so it's there's been a lot of work on it, and it's not a formal standard yet.
Okay, yeah, and I'll just ask people to, I don't want to grill you on what the differences are between 725 and 20 and 223 and all that. That's due diligence people can do outside of the AMA, because we want to keep moving on and be specific to RBlock. Now I want to ask you about, you guys just recently talked about the partnership with Bancor. So can you kind of expand on that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we're delighted to announce this new partnership with Bancor, which we announced just a few days ago. They are going to be a liquidity partner for us, so you'll be able to swap CVT for any of the other tokens which are available on Bancor or Ethereum via their platform, and they're actually going to be integrating with our web client so that you can directly swap CVT for other tokens or Ethereum.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. So you could do that right on the platform itself, because that was a question I was going to ask is, as an employer or referrer, how do I get my hands on these CVT tokens easier? So Bancor is the answer to that.
Yeah, that's a really big thing for us, because it's one of the big blockers to getting the non-crypto savvy users working with and adopting CVT tokens, which is we're fully aware that's a massive challenge. So it's a big win for us. We were never planning on building our own exchange or wallet or anything like that. So yeah, it's great that we can offer that directly on our platform, where you can swap your CVT.
Yep, that's a big hurdle. I was excited when I saw that, because that's a giant hurdle to cross, right? Because you have this awesome, I'm not gonna name any names, but there's a lot of really great platforms out there, but to get tokens for those, you really have to go a lot deeper than people are willing to do, right? So this makes me pretty excited, the Bancor.
Yeah, and it's the bulk of a lot of conversations when you're going through a crowd sale is, how am I going to be able to swap this, or what's the liquidity going to be like? So it's obviously been a massive thing for our community and is for communities in general. So yeah, we're really pleased to have announced this new partnership, and that this can be available quite quickly. I think it's 7 to 14 days. It will be integrated within the protocol. So yeah, pretty
Damn, that's pretty fast.
days
All right.
from the close of sale, that is, which is next week.
Right, yeah. We're gonna get into that very quickly here. Do you have any partnerships with existing businesses or anybody who's trialing or who has signed on to trial it down the road? If you can talk about that, of course.
Yeah. So we've been quite public about working with Booking.com, Qualcomm, and GoCardless, who were part of the early beta test group, and are going to be using the platform in 2018 for screening workers using the referencing and rating app, and we'll hopefully be bringing lots of people into the network via that. So yeah, we're proud to announce these partnerships, and we put out some statements, some feedback, which we've got from those guys, which has been really positive about the potential that the tooling and the platform has for them. So yeah, that's been a big part of our campaign. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. I want to get my hands on this beta. I'm not gonna lie to you. I want to test this thing out, to be honest. You guys, but I might not have to wait that long because I think we're touching on the roadmap here now. Your web app launches in April. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. So really not that far away. That'll be the mainnet launch.
That's 1.0, right? The mainnet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's not far at all. That's a lot closer than a lot of projects out there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I know people have asked this question already, and this is another one of the big hurdles that people come to when you guys, and that's marketing, right? I don't know what you guys have done marketing wise, but it's a big, people ask like, have they marketed? Why don't I know more about this? Do you have can you touch on that and then maybe the plans you have post ICO for your marketing?
Yeah, sure. So we've there's been no shortage of people that have fed back and said, why aren't you doing more marketing? Why aren't you doing these things this way or that way? Which we've absolutely taken on board. We've been quite focused on partnerships, to be honest. We're very pleased and proud of the partnerships that we've put in place, and we see that as a key way of bringing lots of people into the network. So having a partnership with a large company such as Booking.com, that could have the power to bring hundreds, if not thousands, of people into the network on a monthly by monthly basis, simply by using the referencing and rating app. Every worker that they screen will essentially end up with an RBlock profile. So that's really powerful that we can bring such a large amount of people into the network by having this one large single partner. So that's going to be a key part of the marketing campaign, as it has been previously. We haven't perhaps built the hype around the platform that others have, for sure, but we'll continue to focus on getting the right partnerships in place so we can scale the network appropriately. We're allocating 30% of the crowd sale funds to marketing, so we'll be in a good place to put a campaign together.
Yeah, I want to touch on this, and this is sort of a general overview. Marketing, it's a sticky situation, especially with ICOs. I personally, it's just my personal thoughts, guys, but I like the fact that you guys have done, you've done a little bit of marketing, but you've built the foundation for what you guys are doing first, right? There's so many things out there that the marketing is above sort of, they're like, oh, we're going to do this, guys. We're going to be great. It's going to be awesome. And here you guys are, you've already got the foundation and base layers built. You've got partnerships. And I like to call this like the field of dreams marketing, right? Like if you build it, they will come. And that's what you guys are doing, right? You've built this platform that I personally am probably going to use. And that's what's going to attract people to use it. It's there, it's ready. You got a mainnet coming. So that's what I wanted to touch on that, because people need to understand that, there's so much hype marketing, like you said, but with you guys, you're just there working on the base layer, getting that in place first, then the marketing comes afterwards. So that was
Yeah,
more of a comment from me, I guess, than a question, but I personally like that.
we have this kind of saying in house that we're a product first um, platform, so that's always going to come first over anything else. We want to get that right. So
Perfect.
yeah, we've been focusing on that mainly,
Awesome.
and that's always going to be the case. That's gonna come first for us.
Awesome. That's what I love to hear. Honestly, that's the way it should be done. Marketing is always going to be a part of the game, I call it, but I'm glad to see that you guys have focused on the foundation first. So, okay, we're almost to the community questions. You've got a 3-stage token release. I guess, can you explain that and then maybe why you decided to go that route?
Yeah, sure. So we've had kind of mixed feedback from this structure. Be completely open and honest with you. Lots of people saying they don't like this structure that we're using, and the 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 thinking behind it and the justification for it is to kind of break up the funding in a way which is appropriate to the stage of the business is at. So we're selling 30% of the total token supply in this first sale, and just 30% of that 30% will be available to us on successful completion of the sale. So a fairly small chunk of funds, and then we have to get to mainnet launch to release the next batch of funds. And we're trying to break it up in the way which we have to have justified and earned that kind of next release of funds before it's available to us. The problem around companies getting tons and tons of funding, or all their funding immediately, has been well documented, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're kind of try to guard against. We also think that there's going to be lots of companies which do have multiple sales but haven't necessarily been as open about it, who are sitting on a lot of tokens and will want to have sales further down the line, whether that be years away or whatever. We simply see it as being more open and transparent about how we plan to structure it.
Yep,
So
transparency. I was literally going to say that word. Transparency, which I am always a huge fan of. I try to do that myself, so I'm glad that you guys laid it out there and you aren't gonna. Well, I could name some names, so I'm not going to, but do some research, guys. There are ICOs coming up as we speak that have already done a token sale a year ago. Excuse me, sorry.
yeah,
So,
which is probably something that those guys were aware of. It's just they couldn't say for certainty. So we may never have another sale if we don't hit our milestones. Only in our eyes, if we justify it by getting to 10K users and having a platform out there which people are using and value, will be at a stage where we can say, and the decentralized organization will agree that we can hold another sale at that point. So it is a little bit scary for people who are taking a look into the project and saying, well, what if there's another sale, in a couple of weeks' time, or am I going to be completely deflated? But yeah, we do have to hit all of our milestones before we can justify having that next sale.
okay, so is that is the release of funds, is that governed by a smart contract at all, or is it?
Yes,
Yeah, sorry.
we're planning on using the Aragon framework to form a DAO that will govern the funds. So we've broken the milestones up into 3 stages, and the funds will sit in the in a smart contract in the DAO, and we'll take votes from CVT holders who have voting rights in the DAO to agree on consensus of reaching each milestone, and then that next batch of funds will be released. So much like some people use an escrow agent, like a third party escrow, they'll be sitting in this DAO, and we'll have access if and when we milestones.
That's the right way to do it, in my opinion, and that just lines up with everything you've already said. So, not surprised that you guys have them in place. While we're on the topic of smart contract audits, obviously you have a smart contract, I think, for the token sale, right? And then you said there was a smart contract governing the release of the CVT tokens too, right? So have you guys had those audited?
No. So that's not something that we've built ourselves. But like I said, we're planning on using the Aragon framework. But so we haven't. We're not planning on developing a new DAO or anything like that. We're gonna.
Oh, okay. It's all governed by Aragon then.
Yeah, that's the framework that we're favoring at the moment, and we'll most likely go with. But yeah, we'll be forming that. And to be clear, we haven't formed that yet. That's going to be post sale once we've can move the funds into that new framework.
Gotcha. Perfect. Okay, we're almost at the community questions. What happens to unsold tokens? I know the answer to this, but I just want you to give you a chance. What happens to unsold tokens from the crowd sale?
So they will be put in cold storage for at least a year, and then we'll take a vote what to do with them from there. This is a common one that comes up again. So yeah, they'll essentially be in the control of what the community wants to do them. If they choose to burn them after that period of time, then that'll be the case. But we don't want to.
They're community controlled, so the community could vote to burn those tokens.
Yeah. We'll take the DAO will take a vote on it, and they'll decide what to do with them after they've had that minimum period of time in cold storage.
Gocha. Okay, that's actually awesome. Okay, take a breather. We're coming up on an hour already, which is amazing. I gotta thank you for your time and your transparency and honesty, which I love to see personally. We're gonna get into the community questions. I have a feeling we've covered a lot of these already because we've been pretty thorough, I feel. But let's see what we've got here. Okay, Red. Okay. I mean, I gotta say it. I gotta give props from Red Spicy Balls. Can you confirm with Luke what the minimum contribution is? It appears to be 1.5 million for the sale at tier 3.
The minimum contribution is in the soft
I don't think it's
minimum for
yeah, I get. Well, let's go with both because I don't a minimum contribution I don't think at all is a 1.5 million dollars for tier 3, right?
Yeah, I can explain both. There's no minimum contribution in terms of contributing to the crowd sale. It's open to any size of contribution. There's no maximum contribution either. We've just said that we'll use our discretion if someone was to put a inordinate large sum in. And in terms of the soft cap, we set that at $1 million, which we've hit already.
Yeah, somebody's saying in the chat, you guys are 32% funded, right? So that would put you, around like 2 million mark, something like that.
Yeah, we're actually just over 2 million, and it's actually a little bit more than 32%. That progress bar is being updated manually, so that's not particularly reliable. We're updating it every day, but it's not hour by hour kind of thing.
Yeah, no, understandable. Okay, so the soft cap was $1 million, right? That's enough for you guys because that's what you guys feel you need to take the project and continue moving forward with it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you guys have hit that, so that's awesome. Okay, Vivek asks, so anyone referencing me should be paying for me. I think that might be a little bit misworded, so if you're watching still, Vivek, please just kind of reword the question. But I think he's talking about the transfer of tokens between referrers and workers, etc.
I think that is a good question. I think I know what Vivek means. We do anticipate that it will be companies and recruiters who are paying for the referencing and rating transactions to take place. that's certainly the parties who have expressed an interest in, who are going to be using the platform this year, as in the customers that we've announced. However, there is actually there's nothing stopping a worker from paying for a reference transaction themselves if they wanted to start to build out a blockchain-based CV and an RBlock profile. They could pay for the transaction themselves. We don't foresee it happening like that. There's we think it's most likely to be companies and recruiters who already spend a fair bit of money doing these checks and screening people. So we anticipate it will be companies and recruiters that you're interviewing with. However, if you wanted to pay for the transaction yourself, that's absolutely possible.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why this hit me like a lightning strike to the head, as they say, but I really like this idea that, you know, the companies are going to come in, they're going to search for people with skills, and then they've got to actually, you know, they have to use the tokens to transact and connect with you. Is that right? So that, I mean, they're not going to waste their money, you know, connecting with people they don't actually have at least some sort of interest in. And the fact that their references are verified already gets you, you know, 10 steps further than a generic interview. Hey, you know, what's your experience, blah blah blah, right? I know that's a tangent, but that's it just hit me. So
it's a valid point that if you are interacting in this network where you have a lot more faith on the information that you're working off, then yeah, in theory the interview processes should be shorter, and there should be a lot less wasted time on saying no to people and time spent speaking to people that they're not interested in. The fee that's earned by the worker is essentially like the LinkedIn in-mail fee that goes to LinkedIn at the moment on their platform, whereas these companies are used to paying for to send messages to workers. It's just that it could be earned directly by the worker in the RBlock network.
Yeah, that time saved is going to be actually amazing if you think about it, right? And this is somebody's job, right? They're like hiring managers, right? So if they can cut the interview process probably in half, or hell, even a third, I think that's a big incentive to them. I'm not a hiring manager, but I suspect time, as they say, time is money, especially for them. So I can see the idea. It's hitting me like a lightning bolt, and I'm really liking it.
Yeah, huge amount of money spent screening workers, time and money. It's a massive industry. It's a $400 billion industry, and it takes a huge amount of time and money.
Wow.
So yeah, there's some massive efficiencies to be made there if we can work off reliable data and create a better framework for people.
There you go. Awesome. And that's why it needs blockchain, guys. Seriously. Wow. Okay. Mo asks, you got a couple questions. Will authority nodes be incentivized?
Yes. Yeah, they'll be incentivized by the RBlock Foundation. So there's a pot of 19% of the tokens are set aside for the RBlock Foundation, which will be the party which looks after and incentivizes the nodes. So yes, they are incentivized through tokens. They don't take any fee on each transaction, but they're incentivized by the foundation.
Okay, gotcha. Really quick, while we're on the topic of I've just got the distribution up. The team and advisors, 15%. What's the vesting period for those tokens?
It ranges from 1 to 2 years. For the core team, it's 2 years, and for the consultants and advisors, they're on the lower side of the 1 to 2 years.
Gotcha. No, that's perfect. Yeah, I like to see a team's tokens be vested for at least 2 years. So you guys get a check mark from me in that book. That's awesome. Okay. Another question from Mo. Is the team sufficient for delivering the envisioned roadmap? I guess probably what he's asking is, do you plan to expand the team at all, or do you feel like what you've got will get you to your milestones on your roadmap?
So First off, we rightly or wrongly, we're very proud of the team that we've got. We think that that is probably our greatest strength. The people that we've got involved in the project, some awesome people. But yeah, we do plan to do some more hiring. We've actually just announced 3 further people who joined the team. One advisor and 2 guys in the growth function. And we'll be doing more hiring on the development team too, which is what some of the sale funds are going to be put towards.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. All right. Looks like the last question here, which is kind of succinct in that when are the like the CVT tokens purchased through the crowd sale? When will those be unlocked or transferable? If you know that?
Immediately after they're received after the sale, they'll be transferable, unlocked. They'll be able to go on decentralized exchanges immediately after they're distributed after the sale.
Gotcha. Perfect. All right. That is the community questions section. Thank you guys for asking awesome questions. Again, they make me look so smart. This is a chance. I like to give everybody, Luke, a chance just to make like a kind of closing statement. I don't know if you don't have anything prepared, that's no problem. I just like to give everybody a chance to just kind of close out. I want to thank you. It's been a great AMA, and I think you got your point across quite awesome. So I'll give you a chance for a closing statement.
Yeah, sure. No, it's been great to have this opportunity to come on and have a long chat and get into some of the kind of finer intricacies of the project, because it's difficult to sometimes get past the when exchange, when what have you in the Telegram. So it's been really cool to have this longer chat. I think key thing that I'd like to leave people with is that we see the work identity being one of the first use cases for decentralized identity. We think it's going to be absolutely paramount in the future of work when you're interacting with lots of different networks and decentralized organizations. We think that people will need to hold their work identities alongside their other most crucial forms of identity, like their passports and birth certificates. We think that'll be an essential part of the digital identity wallet very soon.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you for your time. Really quickly, I forgot, what date does your crowd sale end?
So we're closing on the 20th, so very soon. Okay. If you're interested, head to rblock.co, which is closing on Tuesday.
Awesome. Perfect. Thanks again, Luke. This has been awesome. Probably my favorite AMA so far, by far. I appreciate you coming and getting grilled by me and the viewers and everybody who had questions. I hope things go well for you. I honestly will probably use this platform myself now that I'm building out a company. So I appreciate the vision and the way you guys are running things. So thank you for coming on.
Hey, no, it's been awesome to have this chat. So thanks very much for the opportunity.
Awesome. All right, take care and good luck with the crowd sale.
Thanks, Ryan. Cheers.
Take care. Bye. All right, let me make sure. Yep, you guys can still hear me. Okay, guys, that was honestly an awesome AMA in my opinion. Luke answered all our questions, and I mean, I personally have, a much better understanding of the R block system and how it works. And I mean, I knew how it worked, but just hearing, somebody who's on the project explain how it works and kind of verifying what you thought, I'm actually excited. I think this is a great use case for blockchain, honestly. And I was kind of hooked when he said, employers or refers, they can't take that away from you, right? They put this stamp of, not approval, but, a stamp of proof. You work there. This was your job. Stuff like that. They can't take that away from you. Whereas with a centralized system, I guarantee you there's things in place that they can say, well, no, that guy never worked for us. So, and I think he's right. It's going to be a key integral part of your digital identity. So, you can see the mod, our mod Nafi. Thank you again, brother. He's posting some links in the chat there. The soft cap was $1 million, which they have hit. They're just over 2, Luke said. Give me 1 second here. You know what? It looks like we only had about 50 people for this AMA, which is a shame because I think this is one of the better ones, if not the best one. I definitely enjoyed it. I hate to do this, but I do want to reward the people who are here and actually interested in this kind of stuff and supporting me. So on that note, I'll throw a Discord invite to you guys who are out there. There's probably not very many of you, but those guys who ask the questions, you guys make me look so smart, and it's really, you know, all on you guys. So this has been an awesome AMA. If you guys have any specific questions, I know for sure you can go into the R-Block Telegram and talk to Luke is there. I talked to June. You see him on the website here. I know they're there answering questions, and I know marketing was one of the big pain points that people had with these guys. You know, why aren't they marketing? You know, that's part of the ICO game, but I love like I said, it's like a Field of Dreams marketing. You know, you build it. I know it's he will come, but they will come, right? You build this, and I think it's ripe to disrupt the decentralized hiring and identity thing. So, personally bullish. That is pretty much all I have to say on this. I hope that this helped you guys get a clearer vision of what R-Block is. I know it did for me, and I'm pretty excited about the project, to be honest with you. I'm going to turn off the stream, but stick around in the chat just to make sure everybody can get through with what they want to do. Yeah, it looks like it's working. So, all right, guys. Thank you again. I'll have many more AMAs. I'm enjoying these more and more every time I do them. I really appreciate the guys stopping by and asking the questions because, honestly, they're questions that I don't think of sometimes. So, and they sparked a lightning bolt hitting my head. So, thanks, everybody. You know what? I realize now that I turned off my camera. It isn't a TheGobOne live stream unless I screw something up. Didn't mute my mic, turned off my camera. Facepalm, guys. But at least I got to say goodbye. Thank you again, and take care. And I'll see you guys on the next adventure. Bye-bye.